go. And here we are hitting record. Okay, so today we are going to honor those that we feel lucky that we have had in our life. And so I want to encourage you to, if you have suffered a loss, especially if you are on Facebook Live listening and watching and participating in the classroom, I want you to feel comfortable with asking any questions by typing in a Q. And after you type in a Q, you can ask your question. And we will ask Joseph, or it could be to me, but we will include you in this conversation where we all are united in grief. But we also can be united in celebration. So fasten your seatbelt because it's time to dance. We are going to learn and grow together. Here we go.
The Lillian McDermott Show.
We love, we fear, bridges we burn, we make mistakes, then we live and learn. When life gets tough, and it seems like your best ain't good enough. If you're in need of hope, you know where I'll be right here. Right here, and when you need a friend, you can count on me. I'll be right here, waiting for you.
This is the place you can always turn to when you need a friend. The Lillian McDermott Show. To reach out to Lillian, visit her on the web at whenyouneedafriend.com. Now let's all learn together. Here's Lillian McDermott.
Hello, my listening and viewing friends. It's so nice we can meet each other on the air on this beautiful, best day ever. And for those of you who are tuning in for the first time, you're in the classroom for the first time, someone said, come on in, the topic is something that is dear to your heart. Please know I've been waiting for you. This is a safe place where you can go to when you need a friend. It is my commitment to provide alternative ways to heal, and it is my mission to make awareness, responsibility, and truth a part of our everyday life. And I hope you, my listening and my viewing friends at facebook.com/Lillian's radio show will feel empowered to embrace a new truth and live the life of your dreams. Now today, if you feel that this is too tough of a subject and you don't want to ask a question publicly in the comment section on Facebook, then please know that you can always text me at 407-373-5959. It'll be private. If you say you don't want your name mentioned, then we won't mention your name. But if you feel the need to, if you want to ask a question, type in a Q. And feel free to ask your questions because this is our classroom. This is where we learn and grow together. And there's one thing that we all can share. I guess there's many things that we can all share. But what unites us is when there's tragedy or chaos or there's grief, we all feel each other's pain because we've been there. And so there's never a good time to lose someone you love. Never a good time. And so today, we want to talk about not only how debilitating it could be, but how do you get from that, what we think we could never be happy again, to actually celebrating the life of someone that we lost? How do we do that? Well, television producer and author of the book, I Am One of the Lucky Ones, is here to share, because he knows what it is to lose someone you love, not just one person you love, but within a 14-month period of time, 5 members of his family. And so it can become such a painful ordeal experience that we just don't want to get through it. We don't want to go through it. So Joseph is here to share his story and all the beautiful people that he's lucky to have known, and also what created a website called Lucky Ones TV, and we're going to talk about that today. So, since it is our sole purpose in life to give and receive love and knowledge, I am grateful that Joseph Alvaro is here to do just that. Welcome, Joseph, to the Lillian McDermott Radio Show classroom.
Thank you, Lillian. Nice to be here with you.
I am glad that you are here. And so with all that, you know, grief is something that we don't want to talk about. We don't even want to think about. Even the thought of losing someone you love just puts you there. So share a little bit about your background and what led you to feeling this compassion and grace to help others along the way.
Well, it started with my partner, Matt Zoller Seitz, and I. We're both widowers. He had met my wife years ago when he is a television and film critic, and he met her at the upfronts for when he was working for the Bergen Record, I believe.
Mm-hmm.
Upfronts are when the television networks all take their shows to the advertisers and say, "This is what we're doing this year. These are the new episodes, you know, blah blah blah." And they basically trying to sell airtime. Or
Mm-hmm.
HBO went there and with The Sopranos, and that's where she had met Matt, and they became fast friends. And then our families became friends, his wife and myself, and you know, the four of us,
Mm-hmm.
and our children. And then about, I'd say 13 years ago, Matt's wife passed away unexpectedly. She was very young. She was in her early 30s and left him with 2 children. And then 3.5 years later, my wife passed away, leaving me with 3 children. So we talked about getting together, you know, and we kept trying to set dates or whatever, and it just never happened with our schedules and children. But eventually we got together and we met in Manhattan, and we were talking about, you know, just the processes of dealing with such things. And he said to me, you know, what do you think? How do you deal with this? And I said, well, you know, I was lucky. I was graced to have had Frances in my life for 27 years. I have nothing to regret. I have no you know, I don't feel any resentment or anything like that. I mean, I was graced to have that time with her, and I feel lucky to have had that. He said, wow. I said, you know, that's interesting, because when I was going through bereavement group, he said, one of my friends said to me that he was also lucky. Matt had turned to him one day and said, don't you wish you'd never been married so you didn't have to deal with this pain? Mm-hmm. And the man turned to him and said, no, we're one of the lucky ones. Mm-hmm. You know, we got to experience this. People can go through their whole lives being married to someone and never have this kind of relationship. Mm-hmm. And I know he's right, because when I asked people to do this, I had asked one woman in particular that I knew to do an interview for us. And she said, oh, Joseph, I didn't have that kind of relationship. Now, I was stunned. She'd been married for 50 some years. She had 2 children, grandchildren. But yet that wasn't her relationship. So when I said to him, you know, I'm one of the lucky ones, he said, well, you know, I've always wanted to do something where we could, people could tell their story about someone that they've lost and how they feel about them. Mm. And so I said, well, let me think about this. So I went home and let it percolate for a couple days, came up with an outline, and we came up with this scenario where we would shoot these 6-minute stories with people, sit down with them, and talk to them about why were you lucky to have known this person and what made them so special to you, tell us stories about them, celebrate their lives. So we did that thinking we would do a television pilot and then a television show. But we soon figured out that, you know, everything is kind of shifting away from traditional television. So we decided, we were approached by other people to provide that same content for their entities. And it just didn't work out, you know, financially it didn't make sense for us. So we decided we would do this ourselves. So we created a streaming platform. We put the videos up there. And we only launched in June. So between I'd say March of last year and now, we've gone out and shot these little mini stories. We call them TLO street stories. And we go out and interview randomly everyday people and ask them, you know, who are you lucky to have known in life? And then we cut these little videos down to a minute and we put them on our social media channels, and then they live on luckyonestv.com. And then people can also upload their own stories. Like you could write a story, or you could do a little video and put it up there. But what we found is that there's this overwhelming desire for people to share their stories. Mm-hmm. And we get stories about people talking about their cousins, their uncles, their friends, their Girl Scout leaders, people they've taken care of. It's fascinating. And the common theme throughout it all seems to be that people have this yearning to talk about someone that was special to them. And in today's society, a lot of times, people don't want to talk about death. They're afraid of
Yeah.
making others around them uncomfortable. But I think this helps people break through that in a sense, and it also gives people a venue where they don't have to feel constrained by what others think, because they're doing it almost in a private moment, because it's an interview and then it goes on, onto the internet and onto our streaming platform. So it's unique in that way, and there's no one else doing it, and we found a little niche, and we think it's something very special.
Well, it's not just special, it's very professionally done. You guys have done a really nice job. I went onto your website and checked out some of the videos that you have done, the longer videos.
Right?
And they are really beautiful, very touching.
Thank you.
And it doesn't have to be a spouse. It could be like there was a man and a woman that were talking about this coworker, and Kathleen talking about her son Matthew, and so you feel that connection to people and say, okay, well, if she could get through this, she could tell her story without breaking down into a fetal position. Perhaps there is light, at the end of the darkness that one must feel. So let's talk about this darkness. I mean, you lost five people in 14 months. So share a little bit about, let's start with your wife and how lucky you were to know her.
Well, I was blessed to have met her. I mean, she really was my soulmate. There was no time, I don't think we have, maybe in our whole marriage, we had 2 arguments, seriously.
Wow.
It's just because we didn't fight. We didn't, there was a sense of unconditional love towards one another, and we were unselfish towards one another. And I think that's the key. You can't be selfish and be in a relationship and have it work for a long term. You have to be unconditional in what you give that person, your love. And you can't keep lists or, you did this, I did that, that stuff doesn't work. It's not healthy. But in the bigger picture, she taught, we had 3 children together, and it was a wonderful life. It was my favorite thing to do, is be a husband and parent and a husband and father. It was really my favorite thing. I mean, I've produced television commercials for years and years and years. And you asked why these are so well produced. My partner, Paul, is a producer and an editor, and I'm a producer. So between us, we've been able to really have very, very high standards for quality and production value, because we'd like to have this, be picked up. We'd like to see, someone else come along and say, hey guys, come on our channel, come on our streaming network. I think it's valuable. I think it takes time. We only launched in June, so we're 7 months old, literally. So, we're just methodically moving forward.
That's wonderful. And so as you are, and one of the things that I would like to accomplish today, because I know that many people have suffered losses, and with you, it was, and I've known other people that it's been like, it wasn't just one loss, it was 5 losses in a row, 10 losses in a row. I know the Truth About Cancer, we had the Bollingers, they had 8 losses in a row in a very short period of time. So it does happen. So take us through this. I heard that, and I don't like, personally, I use the word ascended, because to me that is a celebration. It's a loss is so final. It's kind of like, it makes us sad, but ascension and a new beginning, and to me that is a much more like hopeful to me. And that's how I use, so if I use ascension or I use loss, I use them interchangeable, so that but your wife, your brother-in-law, your uncle, your daughter, and who else was it?
Well, about a few months later, my dad passed away.
And your father passed away. And then you're finding yourself raising teenagers. And so share a little bit about how you were able to come from that. Did you numb yourself up? How did you get through all of that to the other side?
Well, I honestly, I don't know. I mean, to give you an honest answer, I mean, my faith helped.
Mm-hmm.
But after I lost my wife, and then, you know, I lost my brother-in-law, you know, I equate it to kind of, I mean, I don't know what soldiers feel when they lose their comrades, but I imagine it's very similar. And after a while, you learn how to deal with the grief. You've been there, so you know how to process it. You know, the first time it happened, it was devastating, but with each death, it became easier to process and to work through the loss, if that makes any sense. You know, I guess practice makes perfect, to put it kind of, you know, in a strange way.
Yeah.
But as human beings, we adapt, and we take the experiences that we've had before and we apply them to the next situation. And when there's similar situations, you learn how to deal with it. Some people find it harder than others. I chose with each one to celebrate the person that was lost. I chose, once I got past the the point of realizing, okay, they're gone, but they're still with me.
Yes.
You know, you miss, you know, part of it is you miss the physical presence of them being in your everyday life, your wife and your daughter or whomever, if someone's living with you. But as time goes on, I think you put your life back together, because, you know, when someone dies, they're a part of you.
Yeah.
When they die, that piece is now missing. And so you've got to create, and that was part of your normal life. Now your life has been turned upside down. So I think you have to put those pieces back together and create another normal life without that person in your life any longer, and come to the realization that they're still with you. I mean, just because you know, the moment of death does not define who we are. What defines who we are is how we treat other people and the legacy we leave, you know, for our children and for those around us. So I guess in that sense, it was not as difficult as people might think.
Interesting. And of course,
I mean, it doesn't change the emotional impact of losing them. It just changes how rapidly you recover from that, or how rapidly you put your life back together and move forward.
Well, what I'm hearing you say is that when you match grief with gratitude, it's tolerable.
Well, it becomes more than tolerable. It becomes, you know, it becomes liberating.
Yes. Okay. I wanted to be careful with the word I used. So yeah, so liberating is a wonderful, wonderful word, because that's what we're doing. We're setting them free as we set ourselves free. And then another thing I heard you say, which I totally can resonate with, is being creative. Because just because we don't physically see the person, we can still imagine them with us. We can still have conversations with them. We can still, the article I'd mentioned to you that I wrote an article called "Embracing Loss During the Holidays" many years ago, probably 3 years ago, and it was published in the Florida Today. And you guys can, if you want to tune into it, for those of you who are in the classroom, you can go to whenyouneedafriend.com and go to my articles that I've written in the past. But one of the things I say is, especially during the holidays, is to set a place for that individual, maybe with a picture, and include them in the conversation, you know, not wait for an answer, but to kind of rejoice and share, you know, instead of not talking about the person, you know, it's like, don't say the word pink elephant, or don't even think about pink elephants. And so that's what ends up happening, and it becomes very awkward. And I know that I shared this article with my mother-in-law, who in a very short period of time has lost, 2 of her children and her husband of 65 years. And so she talks to him every night. She goes into her room and she talks to him every night by his picture, and, you know, and it gives her comfort. So did you find yourself doing things like that to give yourself comfort?
I mean, I still talk to my wife. I talk to her all the time.
Great.
You know, I talk to my daughter, not as much. My wife was more, you know, I mean, we were so close.
Mhm.
It's a different relationship. You know, I don't ask my daughter for advice. I don't ask her for guidance in life, you know. But
although she's in
yeah,
a much different place than
yeah,
you.
but I think, you know, I talked to my wife because she was very smart. She was very intuitive. So, you know, I will do that. But everyone, I think everyone does. I mean, I was talking to I was doing a radio interview with called The Busted Halo on Sirius XM.
Okay.
I don't know if you know Father
No.
Dwyer, but he was, you know, he likened it to talking to saints.
Mm-hmm.
You know, people are gone, but we still have a relationship with them like you would with a saint. You know, you still, if that's what you believe, if that's what, you know, if you believe in saints and what have you. But
Sure.
many people do, and that's very much, I think, with the people that are gone. You know, you can still have a conversation with them.
Yeah. What about unresolved issues with people who leave too soon? And so, you know, there's a saying that says everybody who dies is a saint, no matter how horrible they were. They're, oh,
I
you
don't
know,
know
yeah,
about that.
yeah, you know, but some people tend to remember them much better than they used to be.
Right.
And I think I think it was Kathleen when she talked about her son Matthew, that, you know, her children who are on this earth say, oh, he wasn't a saint, you know, and so she kind of makes a little joke about that too. So in a situation when doing your videos on Lucky Ones TV, and by the way, I have not even told you how to win this book. So we're offering 3 of these books to the lucky ones that you need to like and say, just let me know in the comment section that you would like a copy of the book, and also maybe tag somebody, like the page, and be a part of this growing classroom where we learn and grow together. So with this, so just make sure that you send me right below in the comment section that you would like a copy of the book, and then we'll send it, or Joseph and his team will send it to you if you're the winner. The names of the people that say that they want this book will be put into a winner's basket, and tomorrow I'll pull a name, and whoever wins, actually not tomorrow, the next day I'll pull a name, and that'll give people from podcast and YouTube an opportunity to also be a part of this giveaway of the one. I'm one of the lucky ones is the name of the book, and Remembering a Soulmate is the by Joseph Alvaro. And for those of you who would like to do that, what you need to do is just say you want to win this book, and just like it, maybe share the link and tag a friend. The more you do, the more you enter. So with that in mind, when people have unresolved issues, have you found it when, if you go to someone random, have you ever had someone say, I don't even want to talk about that person because they were horrible to me?
No, because they wouldn't be lucky to have known them.
But have you ever been, I know, but have you ever been caught off guard?
No, we did have one fella talk to us about his father. He said, well, I was lucky to know him because he was an example of how not to be
I love that.
a father,
I love that.
yes. or a man. I was like, oh, okay,
Yeah.
a little out of the ordinary, but I mean, he's basically saying, look, the guy taught me what not to be.
Yeah. And you
Which
know
is
what?
very
Again,
interesting take, because most people tell us, you know, the things that people share with them to make them who they are today that
yeah.
are in a positive sense. And he was saying, this helped shape who I am today.
Oh yeah. Oh yeah. We talk about that in the classroom all the time. Gratitude. Again, if gratitude can help you, you know, embrace a situation such as losing a loved one and it being liberating and freeing, as you said, so can just shifting the way you look at a terrible situation and say, I'm one of the lucky ones because I learned, because this happened to me, my children will never have to endure that.
Right.
See,
Yeah.
and I can see that. It's a
Well,
beautiful way.
and we all make those decisions in life. There's examples of things that have happened to us, and or we've watched other people around us, and we say, well, you know what? I'm not going to do that. I won't do that in my marriage or with my family or what have you.
Mhm.
We learn by example, good and bad examples.
Yes, absolutely, absolutely.
Yeah.
So tell us more about Lucky Ones TV, and because I had asked you because it's so beautifully done.
Thank
I
you.
thought, you know, is this going to cost somebody? Let's go through the process of somebody wants to honor a loved one?
Well, we have a couple ways. The easiest, we go out and we solicit stories from people. We go through friends and family and what have you, to find stories. And the features, that's how we do the feature stories, the 9 that we have there now. That's how we've done them all. The man on the street ones are much, we just randomly walk up to people. We go to art fairs, we go to festivals, we've gone, just parks,
Sure.
wherever we can find lots of people to talk to them. And then there's a section on the platform at luckyonestv.com where you could upload your own story. So if you want to write a story and add pictures, you could do that. And we've had people do that. And then you can also submit your own video. Of course, we'd vet it to make sure that's appropriate, but people can upload their 60 to 90-second video and tell their own stories. I think that, younger and younger people, they know how to do that stuff very easily. They do with their iPhones, they make movies.
Yeah.
So,
oh, yeah.
so we have that ability to do that. And I think we'd like to, we encourage people to tell their stories. But the platform has, it's evolved. Originally we just had the feature stories. And then we found that, once we did the TLO street stories, that within those stories, if someone tells you something, there's things that you can take and put together. Like we did one for songs where people were talking about the different songs that these people that they cherished would sing. Those are fun moments. We call those mindful minutes because they're just fun little snippets. It'd be like, what was their favorite food? What did they teach you? All sorts of, whatever the topic might be. And we cut them together in these little compilations. And those are fun. And all these small little 60-minute pieces go out onto our social media platforms. So I'm hoping people will follow us at Lucky Ones TV on Instagram, Facebook, and Twitter.
Yeah.
It's a good way just to see. And we create a campaign around each one of those. We'll do a picture of the person. And then the next day we'll do a quote from the person who did the interview. And then we'll run the video on the third day. So people kind of get a sense of, oh, this is what the person looks like. And then this is one of the quotes about them, just to create content. We don't have the bandwidth to put a video up every single day, but we can put one up about every 3 days, which is what we do.
Yes. And so, and I'm sure, and we're going to talk about this in a little bit, that, sponsorship is very important. And I was mentioning to you how important my sponsors are. And,
yeah.
And especially if you're doing this free to people who can come and be a part of your platform, it's so important that we also be givers, and whether it's time, talent, or treasure, help out in any way that we can. And I have some phenomenal sponsors. And if I'm asking all of you, if you go to whenyouneedafriend.com, because this is where we take ownership for our life. And we say, the buck stops here. If we don't like something in our life, and if we create everything and we're responsible for everything in our life, the good news is we can uncreate it. And when I use the word responsibility, I use it in a powerful, empowering, and freeing and liberating, not blame, shame, fault, or duty. So the word responsibility is completely changed or looked at in the full intention of what responsibility is all about. It's ownership. And so if you are ready to take your health, your life, everything back, your relationships back, this is a good place to go to. And it's whenyouneedafriend.com. While you're there, please like our social media and like us on our YouTube page as well. But while you're there, please check out my sponsorship button and sponsors like Liberty Health Share, Keep Me Safe Organics Worldwide. These are beauty products that are organic, healthy, and that you don't have to worry about. There's so many pesticides and chemicals in our beauty products. And what we want to do is create health, spirit, mind, and body. First Alternative Care. We have Dr. Stephen Grable, the pharmacy in Merritt Island, Live Longer Medical Ground Therapy, Brain Tap, and of course, please make sure you support our sponsors the way they are supporting the classroom. Figure out a way. And then, of course, you, the enrolled student, can become a member of the classroom by donating your time, your talent, your treasure. Just check on the enroll student button and you too can be part of the legacy of what we're trying to create with a spirit, mind, and body healthy life. And so again, we're giving away I Am the Lucky Ones book. And so let's put your name down underneath the comment. Let me know that you would like a copy of this book. And please like the page, share, and also tag your friends. Let them know that this classroom is growing. Take the front row seat and be a part of the classroom. So thank you, Joseph, for being a part of this session today. And I would love to hear more about your book. Share a little bit about the book and why you felt you wanted to write I Am the Lucky One. I'm one of the lucky ones.
Well, the book actually sprung out of what we're doing at LuckyOnesTV.com.
Mm-hmm.
One of our partners said to me, I was talking about just my experience with my wife. He said, well, you need to write a book. And I'm like, what do you mean write a book? About what? And he said, about what you were just telling me. That's a book. Write a book. I said, well, yeah, but why would I write a book? And he said, well, if you write a book, it'll just help you, number one, to promote the site, to promote LuckyOnesTV.com. And then when I started writing it, it really became quite cathartic because I was able to tell stories about her that would take way too long in video. And I don't have the inclination to do that. And it would be inappropriate for me to do it on our site. So
I don't think so. Something we can lead by example. I mean, I think it's very appropriate.
I could. We have other, we're going to do other things, but it just seemed, so I wrote the book as basically a way for people to realize that they can tell their story too. And if I can write the story down, they can certainly tell it in 5 minutes or a minute, on camera. And that's really the reason. Then my son did the editing. He's a very good writer, so he did the copy editing. He did a very good job. Made me move stuff around, get rid of stuff. Said, yeah, get rid of that. Like, okay. And it worked out nicely. It took me about 5 months to write from putting it to an outline, because I outlined it first.
Yeah.
And then I wrote each chapter. And then by the time it was published, it took about 7 months all total. Well, 6 months all total.
Wow. That's right. And you self-published.
Well, yeah. I mean, yeah. Why not?
Now it's so easy to do. And
it's so easy. And it's like, why? What does a publisher do for anyone? They print the book and they do publicity around it. Well, we have publicists for the lucky ones. We have a team of people that do publicity for us. So, why would you go to a publisher? It's almost, if you know what you're doing, it's almost unnecessary anymore, unless you're like a big, huge author.
Yeah. Yeah. And so let's talk a little bit about your book. What are some of the things that people should expect when they pick up your book?
It's fun. It's just a fun read. I tell stories about my relationship with my wife and living with her and raising a family. And it's all good stuff. I mean, there's nothing, even when she passed away, I held her in my arms and to her last breath. And people say, well, oh my gosh, I'm like, no, you have to understand that was probably one of the greatest gifts that I could ever have had, was to be able to hold her while she left, and tell her I loved her and tell her I'll see her again. It was beautiful. I mean, if in a strange way, it was very peaceful. I didn't want her to die, but that's beside the point. But when that moment came, it was a very peaceful thing. It wasn't traumatic. Because we knew she was going to die, obviously. So it wasn't all of a sudden, which is much more traumatic.
Yeah. And so what advice do you give men and women who are left with children that they need to raise? And now
don't drink.
Don't go what?
Don't drink.
Don't drink. Tell us more. Tell us more.
Well, I think you hopefully you have people around you that support you and your family. We live in a community of about 25,000 people, and it was amazing to watch the other mothers gather around my youngest, because she was only 11, 12. She was just shy of 12. Gather around and just kind of like take care of her. Make sure that when they went school shopping, she went with them. When they went clothing shopping or get pedicures and manicures and all that things that girls do,
That's beautiful.
they included her. So in that regard, the community was very, very supportive and very helpful. I think if you believe in a religion, I think that can be very beneficial to you, whatever your faith is. I don't know. I don't know that I don't know if there is a God. I hope there is. I believe there is. I believe that our spirits go somewhere after we pass away. I'm not sure we do. I would like to think we do.
No one knows, really.
No one knows. No
And
one's come back to tell us.
Yes. Well, and so that's the truth. But we've been told what is out there, and we've had stories the Bible shares.
Yeah.
And so having faith, I could imagine, would be a lot easier than if you think someone's gone forever and you'll never see them again. That there would be some despair there.
Yeah, and I don't know that, when people say, you'll see them again. I don't know that we'll actually see them. I don't know it, but I think that there's a collective of some sort. I don't know. It's my own silly theory, but I think there's some kind of a collective, because we have this energy within us that when we die, it dissipates, it goes away. But where does it go? Energy doesn't disappear. We know that physics, it has to go somewhere. It turns into something else, it goes somewhere else. But it doesn't cease to exist. And I don't think that, I don't know. I don't know that we ever cease to exist either.
Well, I think that that's very hopeful. It is very hopeful to know. And let's just take this hopeful angle. So what do you want people to know? Because I think you've said it, but sometimes if you say it in a different way, for people that are picking up your book. And by the way, if you want, we're giving away 3 copies of I Am One of the Lucky Ones. And what you can do is you can either send me a private message. You can text me at 407-373-5959. Let me know you would like a copy of the book, and tag, like, follow, do all the things that will help promote the classroom, and your name will go into the winner's basket, and we will pick out 3 names. And if your name is selected, we will let you know. But make sure that everybody has a chance to win. So make sure that you do your part so that you can get a copy of this, because sometimes they say time heals all wounds, Joseph, but I really believe time heals nothing. It's what we do with the time that truly matters. And it looks like to me that you've done an incredible, remarkable job to really accept and embrace and celebrate a life that their spirit, because I don't believe there's such a thing as death. Maybe there's a physical death, but a spiritual death, the spirit to me is always around, and you can recall them with a thought, with a memory, with just whatever it is, just talking about them with somebody else. I really believe it summons them, and they're there listening to that story right next to you. But what are some of the words of wisdom that you can give someone who is having a hard time with that acceptance and that embracing?
That's really hard. I'm not a counselor.
But you have experienced it.
But I do know that you have to get on with your life, and you have to create a new normal. It's without the person that has died, but you really have to create a new normal, and unless you do that, you'll never move on. I don't know that. I don't know. I don't know that there's anything I can tell someone that can make them feel better. But I do know this, that if you start to let yourself think about the good things and not, oh, I miss them, oh, woe is me. It's kind of selfish, right? Because it's all about you at that point. They died, but you're the one going, oh, how this affected me. And at some point, you have to move on. You have to get past that and go into like, okay, that happened. I wish it hadn't happened, but it did. How do I make the best of it? How do I make the best of the rest of my life? How do I move forward? And I think one of the ways you do that is you have to be willing to be able to talk about that person and tell stories and share why they meant so much to you. And I think the more you do that, the easier it becomes to deal with that loss. Because then you realize that, oh, they are with me. I can recall them and there they are.
Yeah.
You know, they don't talk back to us necessarily, but they're there.
I don't know. I think those.
Well, my grandmother insists my grandfather did, so I don't know. I mean, she shoot him away because he said, come with me. And she's like, go away, I'm not ready. And she made him leave. So I don't know. She swear to it, but I you know, people have had those experiences. So I can't discount that. But I do think that we as humans, you know, we kind of like to feel sorry for ourselves sometimes, because it's just, I don't know, it's part of our nature.
There is a payoff. There's a payoff for feeling sorry for yourself.
Yeah, other people give you sympathy.
Yeah, there's a payoff, and then there's a price.
There is.
There's a price as well, because eventually people move on.
Right.
But okay, we're adults. You were left with children.
Yeah.
Now, I can see you as an adult making a decision. I am going to make the best of this. I am the lucky one. I am one of the lucky ones to have been with Frances and have this long relationship with her. 27 years. You need to write a book on 27 years and 2 arguments. That's the book I want to read.
Oh, it's in the book.
Yeah.
I know both arguments.
Yeah. So, but how do you help a child who doesn't quite understand there's mommy still here or daddy still here in spirit, and you can still talk to them?
Don't know.
How did you do it? What did you do?
After my daughter died, my daughter was in counseling because it was very devastating to her. The other two, my son had a wonderful support group around him at school, and my youngest daughter did too. My oldest just really, once 2 uncles and her mom died, it was just too much for her. Mm-hmm. She was 17, and I think 17-year-olds look at life much different than a 12-year-old would. A 12-year-old would never contemplate suicide. Mm. You know, they just wouldn't. But a 17-year-old, they do it all the time. All the time. And I think part of it is they don't realize that tomorrow's another day. As bad as today is, it won't be this way a year from now. It won't be this way 6 months from now. They don't have that life experience to understand that, you know, bad things happen and then they go away. You know, you move on. I think for her it was just overwhelming. So I don't know what you tell children. I think you can talk to them. I mean, we talked about our you know, their mom and stuff. When my daughter died, I would talk about my daughter, but my son would get upset about it. So I'd stop talking to him about it because it upset him gravely. So I stopped talking about her in front of him because it was just so upsetting to him. Yeah. He hadn't processed it all and hadn't come to terms with it. It took him quite a long time. It took him about 4 years before he really came to grips with it. Yeah. Because I think partly he blamed himself in some ways. And that's, you know, and
many of us do in those circumstances.
Yeah. You know, he thought he should have somehow prevented it or seen it coming or what have you, but no one knew. You know, no one. It was totally unexpected. So I guess with children, I mean, I might say that you'd probably want to get them some counseling. Personally, I went and spoke to one of my priests. You know, I would have conversations with him. And then I would have conversations with friends of mine, you know, just buddies good friends of mine that I could talk to and could talk honestly and openly without any kind of judgment from their part or what have you. I can think of two people distinctly who gave me the opportunity to be able to do that, and allowed me to do that. So that was helpful. I don't know. Death is everyone deals with death differently.
Yeah.
I think about combat soldiers and it's got to be traumatic to lose your first friend next to you, have them shot or blown apart. But by the time your fifth or sixth friend has been shot or killed, you learn to, not that you don't grieve for them and don't feel emotion for them, but you've learned how to, like I said before, you learn how to deal with it. You learn how to process it. You know the steps, so you get past it sooner, faster, quicker. Most people. Some people, it's totally debilitating too. It really depends on you as a person and your inner strength.
Absolutely. And I know this is difficult, and it's a difficult topic. And I'm so grateful to you that not only are you talking about it today and talking about it so that others can learn and grow from you, but that you've created a platform by which people can release and accept and embrace. So let's talk a little bit more about luckyones.tv.com, where people can go. And I know that you have your social media as well. You've got at Lucky Ones TV for Facebook, Lucky Ones TV for Instagram, and Lucky Ones TV with Twitter.
Yeah.
So, but there's a space between that. But you were able to get the whole shebang when it comes to Twitter, Instagram, and Facebook. So that's good for you.
Well, we're trying to build a following.
Yes. So tell me what you need. What are your needs right now, Joseph?
In what regard?
For the Lucky Ones TV, do you need more
funding?
People? Okay, funding. Let's talk about funding.
Yeah, we'd like, we've been funding that. We've had a couple of people invest in the project. I've put in some of my own money. The rest has been sweat equity. Paul has an editorial shop, so Nitrous. So we use their facilities to cut all the videos. He has a couple of cameras, so we've been using those to shoot with.
Yeah.
So we can. That's the only reason we can do this, is that he has the facilities to do the post production, because it's incredibly, it's all driven by post production.
Sure.
So we've gotten to the point where we're now, we still have money in the bank, but we're looking for sponsors. So until we do that, we need to build up our audience and our followers, and we need to show that, we've actually got people watching. So we've been doing the analytics. We get all our analytics from Facebook and Twitter and Instagram. And what we're seeing is per impression is like, it's like 2 cents. So we're really doing well. We know that the numbers we're getting are very good. What we need to be able to do is expand that pie. And the way you expand that pie is to use more promotion on those social platforms to create awareness. And then along with doing the publicity, our publicity company does, they've been getting us tons of promotion.
That's wonderful.
It is nice. Well, we've got a nice little niche. Who hasn't met someone that they were lucky to have had in their lives that has shaped them?
Yes.
Very few people.
Yes, absolutely.
Very few people. And when they're important to them, they want to tell others about it.
That's wonderful. I'm thinking about all the people that I've lost that, you learn to move on. You continue, your life continues. And, once in a while you think about them, you say a prayer, you maybe laugh or you cry, depending on what the situation is, but then you're able to move on. And, and so, you talk about funding but what about stories? I noticed that you have longer stories and shorter stories. And have you considered maybe charging for these as a donation to?
No, no, we've never considered that.
Okay. Well, so
it's not something that we want to, because I think that's, I don't know. I've never crossed my mind, but I don't think we'd want to charge people to put up their stories. I think people want to tell their stories, and and they're willing to tell their stories, but I would feel that would be kind of exploitive.
No, well, okay.
I mean, to charge you to tell your story.
No, it's not charging to tell the story. It's the video, the production, everything that you guys are doing. People want to, people create videos. People charge for people to create videos. And so I'm just saying that it's a way to say thank you to you for all your effort. It's not that you're charging, you're saying, we're saying thank you. I saw a lot of your videos. I was hooked.
Yeah.
I started watching one video after another one, knowing that I've got so much to do, but at the same time,
they're great stories, aren't they?
They're great stories. They're very well produced. They're really well put together. And the people that tell the story, you can tell that they've reached gratitude.
Right. There's the key.
And so that's contagious.
Yeah, they're grateful for having had that person in their life.
Absolutely. And if anything, you're providing a service to get people to say, I want to be grateful too. Let me share a story where I can be and sit in gratitude and be helpful to somebody else.
Right.
Because, I always say that if you are depressed and you want to get out of your depression, go and do something for somebody else.
Right.
Get outside yourself.
Give of yourself.
That's right. And there are so many people out there that need help.
Well, we all do, don't we?
Yes, we all. Yeah. And even if you think they don't need help, you just don't know what they're going through.
Right.
Because we are, especially Facebook, you might have 1,000 friends, but who's calling you when you're down? And so you are providing a service. And so I'm not telling you to charge people, because that's not your
business model.
Your business model. But at the same time, anyone that you've done a video for, if they don't help in any, just the gratitude that you've put together something like that. I want to do a video and have you.
Okay.
Yeah, let's do that. They do that. But it's just one of those things. People need to learn to say thank you. There's a lot of takers in this world, and I've learned that there's a lot of takers, but there's a lot of givers too. And so, just like I always say, people can watch this classroom. They can be a student in the classroom, and it's free. And if it weren't for the kindness of my sponsors, there would be no classroom. Honestly. Right. And so, if people can donate in any way, whether it's time, talent, or treasure, I'm grateful, because that helps the classroom expand and grow. So wasn't the start of my business model, but it's now, because you realize you're putting a lot of time and effort.
Right.
And so this is everybody's.
Well, we'd like to get some sponsors. I think we had to put this together. We had to launch it. We had to do it long enough so we could see the analytics to see that, yes, people are actually watching.
Yes,
looky there. They're actually watching, and the rate of return for what we promote, the money we spend to promote, and the rate of return is excellent. So we know that it's not like people are ignoring us. So we know we're on to something special. And we want people to be able to share their stories. I mean, it's, when you said, people should pay us, I'm thinking, wow, okay. Because I think like I'm taking something from them. They're giving me something.
No, everybody wins.
Yeah, when they tell me
wins.
the story, they're giving me something, Yeah. It was interesting when we first started doing this, Paul, my partner Paul, who edits all these, rolled around in his chair one day. We were doing the feature length stories. We were just doing, when we first started, he rolled around and he looked at me and said, doing these makes me want to be a better husband. I'm like, I kind of look at him like, okay. He goes, you watch these people's relationships. And he says, it makes me want to be a better dad and better husband. Because I think you realize how fragile life is.
Yes.
And that you ought to appreciate what you have, because we oftentimes take it for granted. You think, oh yeah, it's going to be there tomorrow. It was there yesterday. It'll be there tomorrow. But that's not always the case. It can disappear in a heartbeat.
Yes. And I will say thank you so much for that. Thank you for everything that you're doing, and you're doing it from the kindness of your heart. And I do hope and pray that you get picked up and get huge sponsors. It's my blessing to you, because you are
Thank
blessing
you.
so many people in what you're doing. It's a ministry. It's a
Kind of,
ministry.
yeah, it
It
is.
is a ministry. So thank you so much. The website is called luckyonestv.com. Check it out and submit your stories, and work with them, because this is something new and different. And you know what? It all begins with a thought. So why not be a thought of gratitude? Thank you so much, Joseph, for everything that you're doing. And I loved our conversation, and I hope that all of you felt closer to your loved ones because you heard Joseph speak today. Brave, brave, brave man. And please remember, we'll be right here waiting for you worldwide at whenyouneedafriend.com. This is Lillian McDermott and Joseph Alvaro wishing you love, peace, joy, and unexpected abundance. Make it the best day ever. Good job. Good job.
The opinions and advice expressed on the Lillian McDermott radio show are intended for the individual callers and guests on the program and are presented to our wider audience solely for general educational purposes. Please act responsibly and consult personally with your own medical, psychological, or nutritional expert before taking any steps to improve your life.
I didn't ask you, Joseph, if you had time for after the class I don't know if anybody has some questions, but we have some great comments from people. But I wanted to thank you again for everything that you're doing. It really is a ministry. And we're going to be doing I don't know, are you Catholic? Because you were talking about, okay. I forgot to
Doesn't matter.
part. Yeah.
I'm Christian.
You're Christian. That's
what
matters.
Monotheist.
That's right. That's right. And so I'm just really, grateful that your spirituality has helped you. And, everybody has different levels by which they feel a closer connection to a higher source.
Mm-hmm.
And so you're doing such a great job at helping those. And by you giving people, by you being able to share gratitude publicly about a huge grief, something that could have, everybody would have said, oh, his life changed after this and it's never been the same. And people would have said, well, look at what happened. And that's the story that could have been told. Mm-hmm. But you've changed the way the story is being told to, because he's grateful. Look at what he's been able to accomplish.
Well, that's
and you're giving permission.
Yeah, that's what, and I think we find people that when we interview people, that's what they are. They're grateful that they had this person in their life, Yes,
and so I'm so grateful to Kathy for making comments, Lucy and Little Rosie Sunshine. I believe you're in Australia. So all over the world, we're learning about Lucky Ones TV. Do you have any limitations? Do they have to be in the United States, or can they submit?
They can do it from anywhere in the world. Yeah, okay,
very
absolutely.
Good. Rosie, I don't know if you're in England. Maybe it's England that you're with us. But I just want to say thank you to you, and if there's anything I can do to be helpful, I will be there for you as well. And so is there any final words that you'd like to share before we close our class today?
Well, I just wish everyone happiness and love in life, and cherish the people that are around you, that are special to you. Yes. That's really the message is, cherish those moments. Yes. I mean, there are moments I cherish that I think about all the time.
Yes. And thank you so much for that. And I want to say that my name is Lillian McDermott, and I'm one of the lucky ones. There's so many people in my life that I have felt lucky. And even the people that poke you in the eye, I feel lucky to know.
You asked me some questions today. We're not on, right?
Oh, we are now. We're still on. Hold on a second. Let me just say goodbye. Let's say goodbye to Facebook. Thank you so much for being a part of our audience today. So thank you so much. Let me turn that off, and we'll say goodbye. Say goodbye, Joseph.
Goodbye. Thank you.
And